Channel Bank Jali News will give you about several information. The first news about US accuses Iran of selling drones to Russia in violation of UN ban. By Pamela FALK, October 19, 2022, 11:47 p.m. CBS News. In a contentious closed-door UN Security Council meeting late Wednesday, the US, UK and France accused Iran of selling drones to Russia in violation of a UN Security Council ban against the transfer of drones. Russia has used drones in a series of devastating attacks on Ukrainian cities this past week. Both Russia and Iran claimed to reporters that unmanned aerial vehicles (UAVs) or drones were not sold by Iran to Russia, and not used in conflict. Nate Evans, spokesperson and communications director for the U.S. mission to the UN, called for an expert briefing in the Security Council on recent evidence that Russia illegally procured Iranian UAVs that it is using in its war on Ukraine. Sergei Kyslytsya, Ukraine's UN ambassador, wrote a letter to UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres Tuesday requesting UN experts visit Ukraine to inspect the recovered UAVs which have been used to attack Ukrainian cities. The attacks have caused about 30% of Ukraine's power to shut down. In his letter, Kyslytsya noted that the drones used in the attacks meet the requirements under UN Security Council Resolution 2231, passed in 2015, which bans the transfer of drones which are capable of traveling more than 300 kilometers. The United States began warning in July that Iran was planning to transfer UAVs to Russia for use in Russia's brutal war against Ukraine, and we now have abundant evidence that these UAVs are being used to strike Ukrainian civilians and critical civilian infrastructure, State Department spokesperson Ned Price said in a statement following the meeting. Russia's deputy UN ambassador Dmitry Polyansky said that the 15-nation Security Council had no authority to send inspectors, an issue that will be taken up on Friday in an open Security Council meeting on Ukraine. Amir Saeed Iravani, Iran's UN ambassador, denied that Iran transferred drones to Russia for use in the war. James Kariuki, UK's deputy ambassador to the UN, tweeted Wednesday that Iran has obligations not to export these weapons. On Wednesday, kamikaze drones launched by Russia struck power plants, and forced Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to convene an emergency meeting to avoid what he called a breakdown of Ukraine's energy system. Beginning about a week ago, Russia launched a flurry of attacks using Iranian-made kamikaze drones packed with explosives. Since the first kamikaze drone was launched last month, Ukraine claims it has shot down 223 of them. U.S. officials estimate Ukraine has a roughly 50% success rate, which would mean Russia has launched nearly 450 drones. David Martin contributed to this report. By the way, other news. The drone war. Iranian-supplied kamikaze drones usher in new era of warfare in Ukraine. By David Martin, updated on October 19, 2022, 9:08 p.m. CBS News. Russia's latest onslaught inside Ukraine has been led by Moscow's new weapon, Iranian-supplied drones. It could possibly mark the dawn of a new kind of warfare in Ukraine. On Wednesday, kamikaze drones launched by Russia struck power plants, and forced Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to convene an emergency meeting to avoid what he called a breakdown of Ukraine's energy system. Retired U.S. General Frank McKenzie, who was at one point in charge of all U.S. forces in the Middle East, said the 11-foot by 8-foot drone carries a relatively small 90-pound warhead that is powerful enough to destroy transformer yards. If you launch enough of them, the theory is you will be able to overcome air defense, because they fly at low altitudes, and they're very cheap to produce, McKenzie told CBS News. He added that Iran produces thousands of the drones. Since the first kamikaze drone was launched last month, Ukraine claims it has shot down 223 of them. US officials estimate Ukraine has a roughly 50% success rate, which would mean Russia has launched nearly 450 drones. A 50% rate means more than 200 have gotten through, even though the Ukrainians use everything from guided missiles to small arms fire to try to bring them down. They don't necessarily fly a straight line, Mackenzie said. They can do dog legs, different routes to try to avoid where they think you have your own air defenses up that can shoot at them. The last news: Putin declares martial law in Ukrainian regions that Moscow claimed it annexed. By Haliot, updated on October 19, 2022, 7:46 p.m. CBS News. Russian President Vladimir Putin declared martial law on Wednesday in the 4 Ukrainian regions that Moscow previously claimed it had annexed: Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporizhzhia, areas it was struggling to defend amid continued Ukrainian advances. Russia's claimed annexation of those regions was condemned as illegal by the international community. Under Russian law, martial law allows for the strengthening of the military, curfews and limits on movement. During a meeting of Russia's National Security Council, Putin also ordered the establishment of a special coordinating council to boost Russia's war effort by working with local areas within Russia. In a decree published by the Kremlin, economic mobilization was ordered in 8 Russian regions near Ukraine, including Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014, and Krasnodar, Belgorod, Bryansk, Voronezh, Kursk and Rostov. It may also allow for restriction on movement for the residents of these regions. Following Putin's remarks, both the Kremlin and the Foreign Ministry said there are no plans to fully shut Russian borders. Putin said the 8 regions were being put on a medium level of response, and that the leaders of all of Russia's regions would be given greater powers to maintain public order, protect critical facilities, and increase production. The moves mean that more ordinary Russians will be directly affected by the war in Ukraine. Earlier Wednesday, tens of thousands of people were being moved out of Kherson, according to the Russia-installed local leader, who said that the action was to prepare for an upcoming Ukrainian offensive. Vladimir Saldo said that all the Russia-appointed officials would leave, along with around 60,000 people in an organized, gradual displacement. Ukraine said residents should ignore the move, and the head of the regional administration of Kherson said that Russia was trying to take Ukrainians hostage, the BBC reported. Thank you for your attention and don't forget to like and subscribe.